I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson, but your account has been flagged for unusual activity and is temporarily frozen pending review. The bank teller said this in a practiced monotone, full of corporate indifference. Thomas Henderson, 70, a widower and decorated Army veteran, felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. He needed that money for his late wife's overdue medical bills. Unusual activity? The only unusual thing is my pension being deposited as it has been for 30 years, he thought bitterly. The teller just handed him a printed slip with a generic helpline number. 15 minutes later, Thomas sat dejectedly on a bench outside the bank. The serene atmosphere of the bank was shattered by the arrival of stern-faced individuals flashing federal badges. If you believe financial institutions should honor, not hinder our veterans, type accountability below. Thomas Henderson was a man of routine and quiet integrity. His small, meticulously kept bungalow, the one he'd shared with his beloved Clara until she passed 2 years ago after a long illness, was a testament to his orderly nature. His days were structured: morning walks, tending Clara's rose garden, volunteering at the local library, and managing his modest Army pension with careful precision. That pension, earned through 3 decades of unwavering service as a chief warrant officer specializing in advanced cryptography and secure communications, was his lifeline. It paid the mortgage, utilities, and most recently the daunting pile of medical bills left from Clara's final fight. He wasn't wealthy but was solvent, proud of his independence. He'd never bounced a check or missed a payment. His financial life, like his military career, was built on diligence and responsibility. The unusual activity that had frozen his account was ironically the completely usual direct deposit of that very pension, perhaps a few dollars more this month due to a cost of living adjustment. He had come to the downtown branch of Sterling National Bank, his bank for over 40 years, to withdraw funds to pay the final significant installment on Clara's hospice care bill. It was a somber errand, but one he needed to complete to close that painful chapter. He expected a simple transaction. He expected respect. He received neither. The bank lobby was a hushed cathedral of commerce: marble floors, high ceilings, soft lighting, and the quiet click of keyboards. Thomas approached the teller window, presenting his withdrawal slip and debit card. The teller, a young woman named Sarah, with immaculate nails and an air of detached efficiency, processed his request. He saw her frown at her monitor. "Type something." "Frown again." "Just a moment, sir," she said, then disappeared into a back office. Several minutes passed. Thomas waited patiently, though a flicker of unease began to stir. Sarah returned, her expression carefully neutral, holding a small officially printed slip. "Mr. Henderson," she began, not quite meeting his eye, "I'm afraid there's an issue. Your account has been flagged by our central security system due to unusual activity. As a result, a temporary administrative hold has been placed on all funds. The account is frozen." Thomas was stunned. "Frozen? But why? What unusual activity?" "I just need to withdraw funds to pay a medical bill." Sarah slid the slip across the counter. "The system doesn't provide specific details at the branch level, sir. It's an automated flag. This slip has a toll-free number for our fraud and security department. You'll need to contact them directly to resolve the hold. It can take 3 to 5 business days for a review." 3 to 5 days. Thomas felt a surge of disbelief and anger, quickly suppressed. "Young lady, that medical bill is due tomorrow. My pension was deposited this morning. There is no unusual activity. Can't you call someone? Verify my identity? Check the deposit?" Sarah shook her head, her voice firming into the practiced monotone of someone reciting policy. "I have no authority to override a central security freeze, sir. All inquiries must go through the number provided. It's bank policy for your protection." "My protection?" Thomas echoed incredulously. "This is harming me, not protecting me. This is my money, earned through a lifetime of service." A branch manager, Mr. Davies, a portly man in a slightly too tight suit, noticed the raised voice and ambled over. "Is there a problem here?" Sarah quickly explained the situation, emphasizing the central security flag and bank policy. Mr. Davies listened, then turned to Thomas with an expression of strained sympathy that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Henderson, I understand your frustration, but our security protocols are very strict. These flags are often triggered by automated systems designed to protect against fraud." Sarah is correct. The resolution process must go through the dedicated department. He tapped the slip. "Your best course of action is to call that number immediately." He offered no further assistance, no attempt to investigate or escalate internally, just a deferral to a faceless remote department. Thomas felt a cold despair. He knew how these bureaucratic helplines worked: endless hold music, transfers, scripted responses, rarely a swift resolution. Clara's bill. He couldn't bear the thought of it going unpaid. A final disrespect to her memory. He took the slip of paper, the fight draining out of him. "I see," he said quietly, his voice flat. "Thank you for your assistance." He turned and walked out of the bank, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. He sat on a public bench just outside the bank's imposing glass facade. The official slip crumpled in his hand. He felt defeated, powerless against the impersonal machinery of the financial institution. He looked at the helpline number, then at his old reliable cell phone. He could call, spend hours arguing, pleading his case to anonymous voices, or he remembered a different kind of number, a different protocol, years ago during a sensitive joint agency operation where secure financial transfers were critical and often subject to inexplicable freezes by civilian institutions unfamiliar with their nature. His unit had been given a specific direct liaison contact within the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, a red channel for immediate resolution of critical banking obstructions involving government personnel or sensitive funds. He hadn't used it in over a decade. Wasn't even sure it was still active, or if his old access codes would work. But the current situation, the arbitrary freezing of his legitimate pension needed for a critical, time-sensitive payment, felt like precisely the kind of systemic obstruction that line was designed to address. It was a long shot. He scrolled through his phone's contacts, found the entry labeled Tyson Omega Clearance, and dialed. The phone barely rang once before a terse professional voice answered. "FinCEN Secure Line. Authentication?" Thomas took a breath. "Henderson, Thomas. Chief Warrant Officer, retired. Alpha Sigma 9000. Requesting immediate review of account freeze. Sterling National Bank Branch 0477. Account ending 4281. Pension deposit flagged as unusual activity. Critical payment pending." There was rapid clicking of keys on the other end. "Stand by, Mr. Henderson." Less than 30 seconds passed. An eternity to Thomas. "Authentication confirmed, Mr. Henderson. The nature of your previous service grants priority review for financial impediments involving federal disbursements. Please remain near the banking institution. An investigative team is being dispatched to your location. Estimated arrival 15 minutes or less." The line clicked dead. Thomas stared at his phone, a mixture of disbelief and grim hope stirring within him. Investigative team? What did he just set in motion? He simply waited. The crumpled helpline slip forgotten in his pocket. Inside Sterling National Bank, business continued as usual. Sarah, the teller, had already moved on to the next customer. The incident with the old man and his frozen account likely already fading from her short-term memory. Mr. Davies, the manager, was in his office, probably congratulating himself on smoothly handling a potentially disruptive customer by following policy. The clock on the bank wall ticked. 10 minutes passed since Thomas's call. Then 12. Thomas watched the bank doors, a strange sense of calm settling over him. He'd done what he could. The rest was out of his hands. Exactly 14 minutes after his call, 2 dark sedans with government plates pulled up silently to the curb directly in front of the bank, bypassing the no parking signs. 4 individuals, 3 men and 1 woman, emerged dressed in dark, conservative business suits that failed to conceal their air of lean, watchful professionalism. They moved with a coordinated purpose that spoke of federal training. As they approached the bank entrance, the woman in the lead, Agent Carter, discreetly displayed a gold badge as they passed the startled uniformed bank security guard, who immediately stepped aside. The team entered the bank lobby, not with a dramatic flourish but with quiet, undeniable authority that instantly altered the atmosphere. Conversations hushed. Tellers paused mid-transaction. Agent Carter's sharp eyes scanned the lobby, then moved directly toward the manager's office. Mr. Davies looked up in surprise as the four unannounced individuals entered his glass-walled office without knocking. "Can I help you?" he began, a hint of annoyance in his tone. Agent Carter placed her credentials flat on his desk. "Special Agent Carter, U.S. Treasury Department, FinCEN. This is Agent Miller, Agent Rodriguez, and Agent Lee. We are here to execute a federal warrant for immediate access to all records pertaining to account number." She read Thomas's account number in. Agent Carter's voice was calm but authoritative. "We are here under a federal warrant to investigate the freeze placed on Mr. Henderson's account and any related suspicious activities by Sterling National Bank." Mr. Davies paled. This is highly irregular," he stammered. "We've been cooperating fully with all relevant authorities." Agent Miller stepped forward, his eyes sharp. "Your cooperation starts now. We need immediate access to your security logs, freeze protocols, and all communications related to the account flagged this morning." The manager's fingers trembled as he pulled up several folders from a locked cabinet and a laptop from his desk. "Of course, agents. Here are the transaction logs, and all flagged activity reports." Agent Rodriguez began scrolling through the digital records. "According to these timestamps, the freeze was triggered automatically by your internal fraud detection algorithm, with no manual override." Agent Lee glanced up. "And it appears the algorithm flagged a routine pension deposit as suspicious." Agent Carter nodded. "This system is flawed if it risks penalizing veterans like Mr. Henderson. Do you have a process for rapid override or review in emergencies?" Mr. Davies swallowed hard. "We do, but the protocol requires a higher level of authorization. Usually it takes at least 3 business days to complete a review." 3 days is unacceptable for urgent payments," Agent Carter said. She pulled out her phone and tapped it. "Mr. Henderson is waiting outside. Please have your IT staff restore access immediately while we continue our audit." Mr. Davies hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I'll call them now." Agent Miller turned toward the glass doors. "Where's Mr. Henderson?" An assistant pointed to the bench outside. Agent Carter and Agent Lee walked out swiftly. Thomas looked up as they approached. "Mr. Henderson?" Agent Carter asked with a slight smile. "Yes, ma'am," Thomas replied, trying to steady his voice. "We've reviewed the situation with the bank. The freeze was an error triggered by an overly sensitive fraud detection algorithm. Your pension deposit is legitimate, and your account is being unfrozen immediately." Thomas let out a long breath. "Thank you. You don't know how much this means to me." Agent Lee pulled out a business card. "If you ever face this issue again, contact our office directly. We're here to ensure veterans and federal employees aren't wrongfully affected by these automated systems." Agent Carter added. "And we'll be recommending a review of Sterling National's fraud detection protocols. It's unacceptable for automated systems to jeopardize people's livelihoods." Thomas nodded slowly, gratitude and relief washing over him. Inside the bank, the manager's phone buzzed continuously with IT requests as the system began reversing the freeze. The 4 agents filed back into their cars and drove away just as silently as they had arrived. Thomas walked back into the bank, greeted by nods from tellers who now saw him in a different light. He withdrew the funds needed for Clara's medical bill. As he stepped outside into the warm afternoon sunlight, Thomas felt a quiet pride. A lifetime of service had earned him respect, not just from the military, but from those sworn to protect the integrity of the system he relied on. He smiled to himself, thinking of Clara's rose garden waiting for him at home. No algorithm could freeze the honor of a veteran.